Perfect. Perfect. Alright, so I just buzzed out all the head bolts, so there's 5 through there and then 5 more down here, but one of them is hex for some reason. So it was a 3/8, so like a 10 mil. That's annoying. That was on the front. Anyway, now they're all out, tap with a hammer, pull it off, have a look. Alright, so it actually looks pretty good in here. The cylinders don't look like they've been sitting for too long. They don't look like they've got much water in them. Just head gasket material. Head gasket wasn't blown, which is good. This, not so sure about, but I think it just cycles through the back. I'll have a bit of a scrape and see what we find out. But yeah, all in all, looks good. Alright, so now we've scraped down with a razor blade our gasket mating surface. You want to make sure that the cylinders are really clean, so you see there's a bit of material in there, so just break out the old 18 volt vacuum cleaner and just clean all that up real quick. You've got to be really thorough with this step so that you don't get any bits of shit through your engine. So just make sure she's nice and clean. Now, sometimes when you go to put a head gasket on, you've got to spend a lot of money to get the copper spray stuff, but what we've got here instead is just a little bit of fiddly bits, you know. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit cheaper too. So you just want to lightly dust your head gasket just on both sides, just like that. So that's one side, and then we'll just quickly flip her over, give her a dust on the other side. Now this is the same stuff we're going to paint the whole engine with. If it's good enough for the outside, it's good enough for the inside. So now that we've got our light dusting of fiddly bits, it works just as good as the copper seal stuff, I promise you. I've definitely used it before and I have never blown up an engine with it. So you see here it says top, so make sure that goes on. Bam, just like that, surface ready to seal. Next you get your freshly painted head. Now you got to remember, square ports to the exhaust side, stupid things with the injector holes are the intake side. So now you're going to pick up the really heavy head and put it on the engine. So you're going to have to forgive me for this terrible part. So I'll just set you in there between some rockers. We pick this up. Now you got to make sure the undersides are clean, which I forgot to check. So let me just check now. Yeah, it looks clean. And then we'll just gently set it on the engine. There's one side. We'll just line up the dowels nicely. Perfect. There we go. So we've got our fresh gasket under there. You see that? And now our fresh cylinder head on. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you've got really clean bolts, alright? You want to run these through a wire wheel and preferably replace them, but you know, just giving them a light dust up will do. So don't hit the spark plug hole, hit the head hole, just throw them in finger tight. You want to do that for all of them and go around with the torque sequence. I usually go maybe 2, probably 3 ugger-duggers, or to get it down nice and snug, and you'll never have a leak in head gasket from your 304 V8, mate. They don't ever leak. Perfect technique, doing the 5 litre proud. Oh god, they're onto us. Alright, so we're in Clifford and we're just cutting off the old engine mounts. So this one had some booger welds holding it there. Just run the cut-off wheel through them. Just got to tidy up with a flap disc. Might clean up this old weld from whatever a shock pickup point was if I have time, and discs, and then I've just got to do the same on this side. So I might pull the steering column out and then just trim around this, knock this one off, maybe tidy this up as well. I want to get these fuel lines probably over the other side there and coming up the inside of this so that they're not right where the exhaust is. Might do the same with these wires if I can. Obviously covered up the transmission. Yeah, so should be all I have to do at the front. Then at the rear, fix that suspension. I've got a friend doing the head gasket on the motor right now. So trim this up, put the engine in, done. Should be that easy. we'll be going in lickety split. What's in there? What is it, mate? Oh, what'd you get? What'd you get? Oh, where'd it go? Where is it? Alright, so I'm on the Hilux and I sorted out these fuel lines and whatnot. So there was a self-tapping screw here holding this big fuel line loop in. So I've run it through these wire holders, which is totally legit. Up here through this wire holder, stuffed all these wires in there too so it can rub through and catch fire. Goes up under here, totally doesn't touch that at all. Actually does miss the brake line. Under here, used a fastener I found up here, a P-clamp for legit factoriness. Comes all the way up here because this is the driver's side of the car and the inlet for the fuel is up the front here, and then the return is this one, and the return is way over the front here, so I have to figure out a massive long line for this, but we'll figure that out later. So that's that, and I just tucked these other old lines out of the way that aren't being used anymore. But as you can see, nice clear shot now for the headers to go out, so that's grand. I got these engine mounts off. I don't know if I'll bother with these. It's a lot of work to grind them down. I'm running out of discs and whatnot. Same with the other side. It's all clean, but that's in the way maybe. We'll see. Wait till we throw the engine back in and have a look. I think we just got to do some light trimming just around here still. Sort of ran out of time the other night. I should really look into steering column bits because this bolt's doing nothing and there's a missing bolt up there somewhere. So might do that. Other than that, yeah, it's coming along nicely. Oh yeah, I sorted out the rear suspension too, so I'll show you that in a sec. So under here you can see that third member is still falling out. We're not going to put that back in. We might actually weld it in because I don't know if we have enough time to repair it. But this coil setup that we made for the last outing got all bent up when we folded the diff around because that third link broke. So this bar had just fallen out and it had, or we took it out rather, but it had bent this bracket quite badly. So I just, it was already taken apart and held together with ratchet strap. So I just beat the heck out of this with a hammer and then made sure that this fit back in. And yeah, all the bolts are loose enough that you can turn them with a tool so that they actually allow for movement. But yeah, it's actually got a bit more, it's like cocked forward on the outside here a little bit more because this inside's sort of bent. So hopefully that'll actually solve our spring mount problem, because this one would mount a little bit further back and wouldn't locate itself as it came back down. So it might actually work in our favour, but we'll see. Other than that, just got to bend this thing back straight, and yeah, we'll have to either weld or replace that. We'll probably just weld it, to be honest, because we've only got the next 2 days to get the majority of stuff done. So we need to get engine mounted, drive shaft made, transmission shifting and working, wiring sorted, or at least close, and final fit up of the engine, I think, and the steering worked out because we've got to get a power steering pump from dude across the street still. So provided we can get those like 5 or 6 things done and the car will work, I've got another 5 days to go through and tidy up all the loose ends. So I'll get power steering lines made, I'll tidy up any wiring that needs to be done, I'll mount the steering column, all that sort of garbage, make sure the brakes work, just bits and pieces, run all the coolant, mount up everything, make sure it's all good, check bolts, blah blah blah, and hope to God it doesn't break the first track we go on like I did last time. Through not a direct fault of our own anyway, this was all done by somebody else, we just used the bits that they'd already done and they failed. So yeah, anyway, we're getting closer. This weekend's going to be a mad thrash. Hopefully I'll get some video in, but we'll see what happens.